Hi everyone, I'm Tanya Nayak. I'm a children's book author, and in this video I'm going to share my process with you. That is how I go about writing and publishing children's books about animals. Firstly, I have published 2 books. The second one is Spot's Busy Day in the Bushveld, which is about a cheetah cub and the animals she encounters in the southern African Bushveld. The first part is the story, and the second is factual information about various animals. The first book I published was Stripes' Busy Night in the Bushveld, which is about a honey badger and nocturnal animals. It has a similar format. The first section is the story, and the second is factual information. Both of these books were nominated for EV Awards that are for independent publishers. And I really enjoyed the creative process of creating these books. And I'm working on a third book, Ombré's Spring Day in the Rockies, which is about a moose and iconic American animals. It has a similar format. The first part is the story, and the second a factual section. Yeah, so let's dive into the process. The first part of my creative process involves seeking inspiration. A great way to be inspired is to spend time in the great outdoors. My 3 books so far have been inspired by the Kruger National Park in South Africa and Rocky Mountain National Park in the USA. Taking a walk outside is really a great way to be inspired and get your brain working. A lot of authors take a walk first thing in the morning for this purpose. Another part of my creative process is to take a lot of photographs of the animals I encounter. I use these photographs in my books and also use them to inspire me when writing my story, so that I know which creatures to include in the book. When I am traveling, I sometimes keep a journal and write down my experiences and thoughts. I also like to jot down ideas when I return home, such as I'd really like to write a story about a moose calf in the Kawunichi Valley. After I have mulled the thoughts over in my mind, I finally sit down and write the story from start to finish. This generally is quite quick. As far as writing a story goes, it's pretty broad when it comes to children's books, and you have quite a few options if you want to write a children's book about animals. If you work with animals, such as if you are a vet or a park ranger, you might share your experiences directly from your life, such as James Herriot did. He wrote stories not just for children but adults as well, and these have been turned into a children's book, certain sections of it, and it's a really fun story. So you might look to James Herriot for inspiration. Another thing you can do is do a search on the internet and find out which children's stories are in the public domain. The public domain means that these stories are no longer copyrighted. The Just So stories of Rudyard Kipling and the Jungle Book are no longer copyrighted. This means you can take the words word for word and add your own illustrations to make a new book. If you are artistically inclined, this is a great option because you can use the words and add your own illustrations. Another thing you can do is look back to really old stories which are in the public domain, such as folk tales like Grimm's fairy tales. I remember these stories from my childhood and they're really fun. The Elephant's Friend and other tales from ancient India. You could create a character like Paddington. Choose one of your favorite animals and create an anthropomorphic character and write about their adventures. Or you could write a bedtime story or a silly story like this one, The Flip Flap Safari. This is really cute. The children can flip back and forth to create different kinds of creatures. You might also look to environmental issues. I really love this book, Felina's New Home. This is a story of a Florida panther. As you know, development in Florida is rampant and has had devastating consequences for the wildlife there, such as Florida panthers. So this book brings an environmental issue to light, and I think it's really lovely. Another one is Monarch Butterfly, which explains the plight of monarch butterflies. So really you have unlimited potential when it comes to writing children's books about animals. Another book which has been self-published by the same publisher I used, Outskirts Press, is What If Wish by Jodie Lynn Menard. As you can see, it's a similar format to mine, and she used an artist who created beautiful illustrations. So if you are not artistically inclined, you can hire someone to help you. Yeah, so I wish you the best of luck, and yeah, we'll speak soon. Okay, bye now.
The second most important step in creating a children's picture book about animals is the illustrations, of course. You have 3 options in this regard. Number 1, you can draw your own illustrations. Secondly, you could hire an artist. Or thirdly, you could use artificial intelligence. AI is a good option if you have a limited budget. Step number 6 in my personal creative process is selecting photographs to be used in the factual section of my book. I really enjoy this part of the creative process. I also hand over these pictures to an artist if they are creating drawings for me. Once I have written my fictional story, I like to include a non-fiction section in my book which tells readers more about the different animals mentioned in the story. Now comes the fun part, submitting your story to a publisher. You have two options. First of all, you can try sending your story to a traditional publisher. Then wait and see what kind of response you get. Try not to get too disheartened if your story is rejected. The second option is to self-publish. This is a great option if you enjoy the creative process and are not too concerned about how many copies you are going to sell of your book. You'll have to wait once again to see if your story has been accepted. If it's accepted, you can choose various options for publishing. The publisher makes an editor available to you who can have a professional opinion with regard to your work and can review it. Once again, you'll be required to wait a little. Then you can review the edits and accept them or reject them as you wish. The following step is to wait for the book designer to work their magic and bring everything all together. After this, you'll have to wait a little to hear from the book designer. Once you have your book's proof, you can review the book's text, pictures, and illustrations. And when everything is finally looking exactly how you want it to, then it's time to give the go-ahead and give the green light for publication. Then it's time to wait a little more as the printers get to work. Finally, you will receive a box of books in the post. It's really fun to open the box and see how your books have turned out. Then it's time to share the books with friends, family, and perhaps a couple of people in industries or parks that inspired you. Good luck! Hope it all goes well.